Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our training today. Our topic for today is sleep. Okay, sleep is so important. All right, I call this the foundation of lasting health. So today we are talking about sleep. Okay, how many of you can actually sleep when you want to and wake up when you want to? Yeah. Now, there is a natural sleep and wake cycle. So we're going to learn a little bit about the science and what are the Healy programs that actually improve on your sleep-wake cycle. Then we are also going to learn about factors that disturb us while we are sleeping or prevent us from having good night's sleep. And then we're going to look at some of the issues that people face, okay, that is related to sleep. Okay, so sleep is not just lying there and doing nothing. So sleep is really not something passive, and it is not definitely a waste of time. So today we are going to learn the importance of sleep, how to get very good rest, as well as how to use Healy and MAGHEALY programs to resolve common sleep-related issues that we face. Let's dive in. Okay, now if you have sleep-related issues, you can use your Healy to do the analysis 5 by 5 and see what are the programs that come out. Or if you have been regularly doing your 5 by 5 analysis, okay, what are the programs that you often see appearing in your analysis? Now, some will say that, they have sleep issues, but the sleep programs does not appear in their 5 by 5. All right? Yeah. And some will ask, there are so many sleep programs. I think I estimate about 7 programs that has the word sleep or sleeping on it. Yeah. So many sleep programs. Are they all the same? Okay. If they are different, in what way are they different? What is the purpose of all the different sleep programs? So you can see which are the sleep programs that actually appear in your analysis. And when I go through them, if you know that you have been getting those particular programs, so today I hope you will find out, okay, what is Healy trying to tell you and what are the sleep related issues that you have. When people ask me, which program should I use if I can't sleep, is a question that is very difficult for me to actually answer, because when you understand how many factors are contributing to sleep, it is not easy to resolve. Yeah, so let's dive in and see what is available. All right, now what happens if you don't sleep? I learned about the importance of sleep when I visit somebody at the hospital. Now, this person just had his third stroke. 3 times he had stroke, and this is the 3rd time. So I went to the hospital to visit him, and he just had his open brain surgery, and he showed me the scar on his head. Yeah. And but he was still upbeat, and he was very proud that the very next day after his surgery, he could walk down. He could come down from the bed and he could walk around. He is not bedridden. So he's very proud that, he has very strong resilience. And while talking to him, he relayed to me his medical history. He was very proud that he survived so many illnesses. All right, so he had 3 strokes. This was his 3rd time. He had cancer twice, and he had multiple heart attacks, myocardial infarction, and he was so proud that he survived all of this. And on top of this, he has diabetes and he is obese. He's quite a big man, and he looked his age. All right, I wouldn't say that he looked older, but he looked his age. All right, so curious, I inquired about his lifestyle. While he was proud that he can go through all this, survive all this, and still be normal, can still work. He's in his 60s, close to his 70s. I was curious, what led him to him having so many health challenges. And he told me one thing. He declared that he does not believe in sleep. He does not believe in sleep. He said that sleep is a waste of time. All right. He's a businessman. He's very busy. And he said that there will be a time where I will sleep forever. Okay. That is the time to sleep. Right now, he said, I have no time to sleep. I am very busy. So therefore, every day, he only had 2 to 3 hours of sleep. And it's not solid sleep. It is as and when he feels the need, he will just close his eyes and then he will just take 1 hour of sleep, a few minutes of sleep. And that's how he survived through all these years. After that visit, I learned the most important lesson, that sleep is indeed very important. If you value your health, okay, so we should actually value our sleep, because that is actually the consequence of not getting enough sleep, not giving the body enough time to do its work. Because if you look at the baby after it's born, right, the baby sleep most of the time. So it only wake up just to drink the milk, correct? And then also when they dirty themselves, then they cry, and that's it. And then after that, most of the time they'll be sleeping. And what do you notice is, for mothers who took care of babies before, you will know that babies grow very, very fast, okay? And mothers will tell me that every day the baby looks different. Okay, they actually grow. You can see the actual growth, and then you can see the changes taking place very fast. So during sleep, there is a lot of activity happening internally. All right, so it is not a passive process. So if you don't sleep, or if you don't get enough good sleep, all those functions that happens when our body is at the resting stage cannot take place properly. And those processes are important for healing. They are important for our immunity. They are also important for restoration, repair. Okay, now let's understand a little bit about the science of sleep. Okay, some are lucky. My sister, she can sleep wherever she wants to sleep, and she can sleep whenever she wants to sleep. Okay, I am different. Okay, my body is just not like that. Okay, now, sleep-wake cycle is actually controlled by a small little gland, okay, somewhere between your 2 eyebrows, in the middle of that particular region over here. Okay, and that particular gland is called the pineal gland. So I found this AI video that explains very beautifully the function of the pineal gland, and the whole entire artwork is so beautiful that I have to show you. Okay, so sit back and just have a 1-minute explanation of what the pineal gland do for us.
The pineal gland, a structure no larger than a grain of rice, hidden deep within the brain, yet responsible for one of the body's most important functions, timing. It helps regulate the circadian rhythm, the internal clock that decides when you feel awake and when rest becomes unavoidable. As darkness increases, the pineal gland releases melatonin, a hormone that signals nightfall. Heart rate slows, body temperature drops, and the nervous system begins to unwind. When light returns, melatonin is suppressed, and the body shifts back toward alertness, preparing for another cycle. But this system is sensitive. Artificial light at night, irregular sleep, and constant stimulation can interfere with the signal. Melatonin is delayed, sleep becomes lighter, recovery becomes incomplete, and the effects reach beyond sleep. Hormone timing shifts, immune function weakens, mood and focus become less stable. The pineal gland does not create rest, it creates the conditions for it. It translates darkness into repair. Small, quiet, and rarely noticed, it keeps the body aligned with the rhythm of day and night. The pineal gland is a reminder that health is not only about effort, but timing. And when rhythm is lost, everything feels harder than it should.
Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. So the size of pineal gland is about roughly the size of a rice grape. Yeah. Very, very small, but you cannot live without it. Okay. If it does not function well, you will know that your whole life the next day is really chaotic. All right. So it regulates your sleep by controlling melatonin secretion, and then they actually create the rhythm within your body. So all the cycles, the timing, okay, of the body that regulates the body is actually controlled by the pineal gland. Immune system, your mood and your focus. Yeah, mood is very obvious. If you don't sleep for one night, the next day you'll be super grouchy.
The pineal.
Okay, now, so when we sleep and when we wake up is actually determined by chemicals in the body. All right, so if you try to sleep at 7 p.m., you go to bed, you just lie down there, you just cannot sleep, correct? Not okay. So which is the chemical in the body that actually controls when you sleep and when you wake up is this chemical called adenosine. All right, remember the name because later on we will come back to this particular name, adenosine. So what happens is adenosine will actually increase its concentration, okay, and it reaches its highest around 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Okay, so when adenosine is at its highest, you will find yourself sometimes nodding off in front of the TV. If you are reading, you find yourself nodding off like this. So it gives you the urge to sleep. And the strongest urge to sleep is between 9 to 11 p.m. Now, after this, let's say you ignore the urge, okay? You just try to walk around, eat something, talk to people, listen to music or sing, okay? And if you ignore this urge to sleep, after, let's say, 12, the level of adenosine starts to drop and you lose the urge to sleep. Okay, after that, you find that you are wide awake. Okay, now, what about waking up? Most of us wake up using the alarm clock, right? Now, if you were to not have the alarm clock, you will also wake up very naturally, and that is the level of adenosine. So when the level of adenosine drops to its lowest, okay, when adenosine is lowest, it gives you the urge to actually wake up. All right, so this happens usually around 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. around this time. Okay, so but the timing is a bit deviate for each one of us from person to person, but generally this is the average cycle. Okay, now if you are off, if your cycles are off, which is the one to use is actually bioenergetic vitalization. If you're not getting enough melatonin, okay, if the secretion is either off timing or if the amount is not there, you cannot enough, you can use bioenergetic vitalization, pineal gland. There's a pineal gland here. Okay, so this is actually to stimulate the activity of the pineal gland. So the pineal gland, it is best to use after sunset. meaning that after 6 or 7 o'clock, you can start using the pineal gland, because it will then prepare the pineal gland to secrete melatonin. Melatonin, okay? Melatonin is at its highest around 3 a.m. So when it is at its maximum, this is the time where we have the deepest sleep. Okay, when you want deep sleep, so you need the melatonin. If you don't have enough melatonin, you can't get enough of deep sleep. Okay, yeah. So this is pineal gland bioenergetic vitalization. So if this appear in your analysis, okay, this is the reason. That means you are not getting enough melatonin for your deep sleep. Okay, you may get digital nutrition for sleep. Okay, this means that you are lacking in certain nutrients that helps you to produce the two chemicals that we talk about. One of the chemical is melatonin. Now, sometimes your pineal gland may be active. Okay, it wants to produce melatonin, but it is not able to produce melatonin because you are lacking in certain nutrients. For example, tryptophan. Tryptophan is an amino acid, and this is the precursor to make serotonin. And then serotonin will then make melatonin. Okay? Now, serotonin, if you can remember, also is a chemical that controls your mood. So if you don't have enough tryptophan, your mood will also be bad, and then your sleep will also be bad. So you see, these two are actually linked together. Okay, now the other nutrient found in the sleep program is glycine. Glycine is needed for the release of serotonin so that the melatonin can form. Yeah, and it also lowers your body temperature during sleep. Then the third one is glutamine. Glutamine is to produce GABA neurotransmitter. So this is actually an inhibitor that calms your nervous system. So if you tend to be very nervous, okay, if there's an exam tomorrow and then you are very anxious, all right, you need the GABA neurotransmitter to calm yourself down. Okay, so this will actually help you to fall asleep if your nervous system is calm. And then the last one is vitamin B3. Vitamin B3 is to produce prostaglandins. Prostaglandins is actually produced by prostate. Okay, produced by the prostate gland. So the prostaglandin is then converted to adenosine. Remember, this was the first chemical that I talked about. The one that makes you want to fall asleep and wake up is adenosine. Melatonin is the one that makes you go into deep sleep. All right. Yeah. So tryptophan, vitamin D3, glycine, glutamine, these are all the important nutrients that actually can help us to sleep. So if you're getting digital nutrition for sleep, it means that you are lacking in some of this. Okay. Then you may also get chakra. All right. So if you have insomnia, then why do you get chakras? So if you look at the position of these glands here, so you may actually get crown chakra, third eye, and throat. Crown chakra is for the brain. Okay, so the brain is where there are serotonins and all the other chemicals are produced. And then the pineal gland is here at the location of the third eye. Okay, and then white throat, you see in this diagram here, from the pineal gland, it actually sends information to the superior cervical ganglion, which is located at the throat region. Okay, then your pineal gland over here. Okay, so the SCN, this red dot here, is the one that receive light stimulation. Light actually comes in through the eyes. So from the eyes, okay, the optical nerve will send the information to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the red dot, SCN, and then the SCN will send information to the cervical ganglion. Cervical ganglion send the information to the pineal gland to actually inform the pineal gland when is it daytime, when is it nighttime, by virtue of the light intensity that comes in. So the pineal gland will then regulate the timing to produce melatonin. Okay, so if the pineal gland is active, it is able to produce melatonin, but release it at the wrong time, you will also sleep at the wrong time. Okay, yeah, so all this has to be properly coordinated. Okay, now sometimes the timing can be confused. You know, if you find yourself in the daytime you start to fall asleep, but at night you cannot sleep, that means the internal timing is a bit off. Okay, yeah, so you have to check your lighting. Okay, check your lighting, your indoor lighting, especially in the day and at night. All right, now our indoor lighting should follow the intensity of the outdoor lighting, meaning that, okay, in the daytime when the outside is very bright, the indoor lighting can be bright, but after sunset the indoor lighting may have to change to lower intensity. Okay, because the light that goes through the eyes, right, our nerves, our nervous system cannot differentiate between real light, that means the sunlight, or an artificial light. So it is actually based on what? It's actually based on light intensity. Okay, so if your indoor light is very bright in the evening, the pineal gland, okay, will get the information that it is still daytime. Okay, now why am I sharing this with you? Because this was my experience many years back. I usually don't have any sleep issues, but there was one period of time I just couldn't sleep. Okay, it was midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. My brain was still alert. I was still wide awake. I just couldn't sleep, and I do not know why. And while lying down there, I asked my body, I talked to my body. Okay, I said, why is it that you can't sleep? I said, can you tell me why you can't sleep? And then you know what? 2 words actually pop up in my mind. It says, your lights. Your lights. So I lie down there and I was thinking, what does it mean by my lights? Then I think back and I realize that it is very true. Ever since I changed my living room lights, I couldn't sleep. Okay, because I have changed the light to LED lights, you know, LED. Instead of using fluorescent light, I use LED lights. So there are like 50 small bulbs that makes the whole entire living room very, very bright. And ever since I installed that light, I couldn't sleep. So immediately the next day, I went to buy lamp with warm lights, yellow light, warm lights. And after sunset, by 6 o'clock, I switched off the white light and I started to use the warm lights. And lo and behold, I started to sleep after that. Okay, so which means that my body cycle is now able to synchronize back to the natural light. Okay, so this is my personal experience. So if you have the same experience, that means if you find that you have insomnia and you can't sleep, and if you're using white light in the evening, you may want to look into this particular aspect as well. All right. Okay. Now, other enemies that we may encounter will be this. One is light. When you are sleeping, light that comes from artificial sources. For example, if you sleep near the street, or if you sleep near the corridor where the street light can actually come in to your room, okay, so this will also affect your melatonin secretion. All right. Now, there are some of us who like to turn on at least one light in the bedroom in case you go to the washroom in the night. So you want to make sure that you are able to see. Now, some of these lights can also affect the quality of your sleep. Now, if you were to use mobile phones, especially if you like to turn off the light and then just stare at the screen, the light from the screen, the blue light, is actually very bright, okay, and this will also affect your melatonin secretion. Okay, now even if you don't turn off the light, with the light on, and if you find that you are staring into phones, iPads, you're reading at, let's say, 9 or 10, okay, and then after that you find that you have difficulty sleeping, you may want to change your timing and your reading habits, because there is a possibility that the blue light is also causing the disturbance to the melatonin secretion or the adenosine level. Okay, so therefore it changes your entire sleep-wake cycle. Okay, now, have you ever do the analysis, and then if you are a woman and then you get potency, you get prostate or vitality, okay, or you are a man and then the analysis will tell you, oh, you will have mature women, you need mature women. Okay, so do you have this? I get a lot of such questions. All right, why the female will ask me, why do I get prostate? Then the male will ask me, why do I get mature women? Okay, now if you do see this, it might actually be hinting to your sleep quality. All right, your sleep quality. These are related to sleep. Progesterone. Now, during pregnancy, progesterone is very high, and the pregnant women will be able to be very relaxed and they will be able to sleep. Okay, so progesterone is found in mature women because female have estrogen, progesterone. So mature women are for those who are going through perimenopause and menopause, all right? Because it will be these two hormones that are regulating the estrogen, the cycle. Okay, now men and women, we have both. We need the progesterone, we need the estrogen, all right? So progesterone here is when the progesterone level is low, you can't relax. Okay, you can't relax. If you can't relax, you cannot fall into deep restful sleep, which is the non-REM deep sleep. Okay, so that is for mature women. If you're getting it, let's say even very young people, you know, some will tell me, hey, how come my 10-year-old is getting mature women? So it has to do with probably the sleep quality. All right, okay, now if you get potency, prostate, vitality, especially if you are a woman, okay, for men you won't question so much, right? Now, these are the three programs that actually stimulate the production of prostaglandins. So prostaglandin can be actually later on is needed to maintain the quality of sperm in the prostate. All right, but prostaglandin has other functions. It actually helps in the production of adenosine, which I mentioned earlier is the one that regulates when you sleep and when you awaken in the morning. All right, so if you're getting all this, it's likely, okay, pointing to your sleep issues. All right, sleep issues. Okay, so now you know that you don't have to panic anymore. Okay, all right, now let's come to the sleep cycle. Sleep cycle here is the pattern of your sleep. So it goes through different cycles. So a good sleep is you must have about 5 cycles. Usually it's about 5 cycles. Okay, now in these 5 cycles, they go through all the different stages. So you will find yourself, you are awake, and then REM is you go further down, resting, and then preparing yourself to sleep, and you go into deep sleep, and then after that you will more or less be slightly aware of your surrounding. Okay, for example, right, sometimes you sleep through the night, and then when you wake up, it rained. You didn't know that it rained. Okay, now sometimes you're very aware of the thunder and lightning, and then it rained. So why do you need to go in and out of sleep? If you have deep sleep throughout for, let's say, 2 or 3 hours of continuous deep sleep, you are not aware of your surrounding, So if there's a fire and people are, yelling and all that, you can't hear because you're totally cut off from your external. So that's why you have to drift in and out of the sleep. Okay, so 5 cycles of this. Okay, now REM, non-REM, and REM is non-REM sleep. So the first stage is light sleep. Okay, so you're falling asleep. During this period of time, your breathing rate, your heart rate, your muscle, your brain activity will slowly starts to decrease. All right, it will slow down all this, and then your body temperature will start to drop. So this stage requires theta waves, theta. Then the next stage, it will go further down, help you to relax and go further down into deep sleep. So during the deep sleep, this stage is important. It is restorative. This is the part that actually heals your body. So if you are aging, it do the repair. It will do the regeneration. All right. It also helps to strengthen your immune system, strengthen your bones. So to make new bones, if you are osteoporotic, bones, and then your muscles. Okay. So it is doing a lot of repair. All right. Now, it's also doing what? It also helps you to remember the day's event, whatever that happens that day, whatever that you have learned, facts and events. So they will do the reorganizing and then put all this into your long-term memory. So it will do the organization and clean up the messy brain. All right. Now, if you don't have enough of this, the next morning when you wake up, you will feel tired, okay, as if you have not slept very much. Now, if you look at the 5 cycles, it is longest during the first cycle, and then it gets shorter and shorter and shorter, okay, until the last cycle, no more deep sleep, it goes into lighter sleep, preparing to wake up. Okay, and this is the delta brainwave. All right, yeah. Then the last stage is the dreamy sleep. Okay, some of us have what we call lucid dreams, Lucid. Okay, and then some of us have different episodes of this dream. You wake up already, and then you fall asleep again, then you continue second episode. Okay, and sometimes you may have recurring dreams. Yeah, same dreams, keep repeating. It happens during the REM sleep. REM, it stands for rapid eye movement. Okay, now during this period of time, your muscles are temporarily paralyzed, means you can't move. Okay, yeah. And why is it important that you can't move? Because you're dreaming, you're fighting with the bear, you know, bear is attacking you. So yeah, so if you are able to move, you'll be throwing things inside your room while you're sleeping. So now if you have dreams and all that, this is part of the release. This is part of the emotional processing, because during the REM stage, while you're doing all your dreaming and all that, okay, the brain is actually reorganizing your emotional memory, okay, integrating meaning, okay, to the day's events, okay, attaching meaning from your emotions to various events of the day. All right, so it helps you to integrate all the information into the bigger scheme of things, your big picture. Okay, at the same time, it's also slowly preparing you to awaken, okay, after the 5th cycle. All right, so your heart rate, your breathing, brain activity will slowly increase. So this is the stage where a lot of alpha waves activity takes place inside your brain. Okay, yeah. So that's why I said sleeping is not a passive process. It's not doing nothing, but it's actually doing a lot of cleaning up, reorganization, integration. Okay, so that your brain will be ready for the next day. Okay, now, so when you use sleep programs, okay, the sleep system, what is the sleep system? It is like what we say, respiratory system, circulatory system, digestive system. So sleep system here is referring to all the respective organs that is related to helping you to sleep. That's the sleep system. All right, bed rest, balanced sleep, fine flow is actually for the circulation. All right, yeah. Okay, so when you use this set of programs, they are the ones that help you to regulate your sleep cycle. Okay, not? Yeah. So some people would think that, you know, I use these 4 programs. Every night I try different programs and I still cannot sleep. So it may not have to do with your sleep cycle. That's why it may have to do with your adenosine and melatonin and other factors. Okay or not? Yeah. So you have to keep trying, don't give up. Yeah. Okay. Now, there are people who also ask, okay, about autism, how to help the children with autism. Okay. Now, according to this book, Why We Sleep, by Matthew Walker, what they notice when they study autistic children is that during the pregnancy, they are not getting enough the REM sleep. Okay, so they actually clock and track the sleeping hours of the fetus while they're in the mother's womb, and they saw the transition that from trimester 2, the baby, the fetus is very active. 12 hours they are awake. So that's why the mother feels a lot of movement, the baby moving and kicking during trimester 2. But when it comes to trimester 3, all right, the last 2 weeks, week 39 and week 40, the baby actually is not so active anymore. The fetus, I mean, okay, they are actually sleeping most of the time. Okay, not? So you can see here that week 39, they spend 12 hours in non-REM. This is the delta, the deeper sleep. And then in week 40, they actually spend half the time, 12 hours in REM sleep during that period of time. And what they notice about children, babies that are born with autistic tendencies, behavior is they only have about half, 6 to 8 hours instead of 12 hours of REM sleep. Okay or not? Yeah. So what happens now is we can use the programs MindWave. Do you remember the MindWave program? Okay. Recreation gives you a lot of the delta waves, and then creativity gives you the alpha wave, which is actually found mostly during the REM stage. Okay, so you can use this kind of brain waves to stimulate okay, stimulate the mind. Okay, so if you have older children and all that, so 5 years, 13 years and all that, they will spend most of their sleep time in the non-REM, which means that they need more of the delta wavelengths. Okay, yeah, so you can use the recreation program to replenish this brain waves, okay, if you find that they are lacking in all this. All right, okay, now there is a sleep program under local stimulation. Okay, under program sleep in local stimulation, this is regarding what? So if you use the program, you'll find that you see 0.5 hertz. Most of the time it will be vibrating 0.5 hertz, which is actually what? Delta. Okay, so if you're using this sleep program, you are actually getting delta waves. And what is the delta waves for? It is for the deep, restful, non-REM sleep. All right, so it's for deep sleep. So this is actually to reduce your stress level, promote healing and regeneration. Okay, so that's why it's placed here together with all this. When you have bone problems, when you have pain problems, when you have emotional problems, okay, so sleep is needed, because during sleep that you will repair your bone density, okay, you will enhance your immune system, and then it will improve your mood, okay, reduce your stress. So that's why there is one sleep program over here. Okay, now it's not just getting that number of hours of sleep, like 8 hours of sleep, 7 hours of sleep. Okay, there are people who will say that I can sleep whenever I want. So I can sleep at 3 o'clock and then wake up at 11 a.m. I also get 7-8 hours of sleep. But is it the same? Okay, is it the same? They are not the same. So sleeping at the right time, besides sleeping at the right duration, all must happen correctly, because everything is regulated in cycles. Okay, now when is the best time to sleep? Any idea? Okay, when is the best time to sleep? You can type in the chat and let me see. What time do you sleep? 10 to 6. Okay, what else do we have? Nine p.m. to 5. Okay, early sleeper. 11 to 5, 9 to 5, 8 to 4. Wow. 10 to 6, 12 to 6. Okay. All right. Good. Thank you. All right. So let's see. Okay. So the timing, the golden hour for sleep is between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. Doesn't mean that you have to sleep during the entire period, but within this window. So if you sleep within this window, is good. All right, is good. If you can't, okay, then you will have to adjust your sleep time so that you can fall within this window. Okay, yeah. Why do we sleep during this period of time? Is between 11 to 1 is your gallbladder doing the detox. 1 to 3 a.m. would be your liver during the detox, and then 3 to 5 is the time when your lungs do the detox. Okay, and then 5 to 7 is the time where your large intestine, okay, is doing the clearing. So according to the meridian timing, this is how the system goes. All right, whether you are regardless of your nationality, regardless of where you stay, you follow your local time. Okay, now so because your body is synchronized to your local time, and every body, our meridians, okay, is active during the same time every day. Okay or not? So if you are sleeping during this entire detox period, you'll find that the next day you will actually feel rested and you feel alert because a lot of the cleansing has been done. Okay, yeah. Okay, now what if right now you are having sleep issues and you're not sleeping at the right window of time? Can I make up for lost sleep? Okay, so some of us may have to do some caregiving, and then you have to wake up, you have to check on children if they are sick, so you didn't get good sleep. Can you make up for lost sleep? Okay, yes. When? The thing is, if you want to make up for lost sleep, when is a good time to make up for this lost sleep? Is between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Okay, yeah, after lunch, power nap. That's right, Nital. So this is the time when we talk about power nap, even 20 minutes, this is the period of time that is good to make up, catch. Even 1 hour or 20 minutes, half an hour is good. Now this timing here corresponds to the heart meridian. Okay, so you're resting your heart meridian. In China, many years back, I worked in Shanghai, and during this timing, okay, between 11 and 1 p.m., the staff are allowed to sleep. Okay, yeah, so you will see them sleeping in the offices and all that, blatantly wide open like that. Okay, because why? It is official that they can actually sleep and get their power nap during this period of time. Okay, so that is actually a good practice. Okay, now sometimes you can sleep, the rest got no problem, but you are disturbed during sleep. And what kind of disturbance can we actually experience? Now, under bioenergetic defense, you see again, right? Sleeping over here. So this one here is to defend, protect you while you are asleep. Okay? Now, what are the things that can disturb your sleep? Would be all this activity outside your house. All right, sometimes cars, if you sleep near high traffic zone, okay, yeah, and then snoring, okay, if the partner beside you is snoring and therefore you can't really go into your sleep. So defense, this is what people tell me. All right, they said that after they use defense sleeping, they can't hear their partner snoring. Okay, yeah, this is good. Now, if you can't sleep because you have circling thoughts, you can actually use mental. Okay, you can use mental to protect you from all the busy mind. Yeah, okay. And then the other one, which many people are not aware of, is actually electrosensitivity and geopathy. What is electrosensitivity? Now, some of us, they said that they turn off their Wi-Fi at night before they sleep. Okay or not? Yeah. Now, if you turn off your Wi-Fi, but your neighbors does not turn off your Wi-Fi, do you think that you are not affected by the EMF coming from the routers from your neighbors? Okay, yeah, all right. So when we do the 5x5 scan, and then come out electrosensitivity. So I said that you are sensitive to EMF, probably all these Wi-Fi devices and all that. Then they'll tell me I turn off the Wi-Fi. Okay, yeah. So you can turn off your Wi-Fi, and then you go and check the Wi-Fi of all your neighbors. You can probably see 20 of them. All right, yeah. So you are still exposed. All right, we are very much exposed. So if you find yourself sensitive to electrosensitivity, use the defense. All right. And then geopathy. What is geopathy? Geopathy is the negative energy coming from underground, from the earth upwards. So if you find babies turn and toss, cannot sleep, crying in the middle of the night, okay, or if you position them in the baby's cot, in one position, and then in the morning you find that they move until it's the corner and then they sleep somewhere else instead of that spot, then you know that that particular spot could be a geopathic spot. Okay, they are sensitive and they can feel it. Okay, and if you find yourself turning and tossing on bed, this could be the one that is affecting you as well. All right, geopathy. Okay or not? And geopathy can lead to severe consequences. Okay, for example, stroke, heart attack, and all that could be due to geopathic stress as well. So if you find yourself turning and tossing in the middle of the night, then what you can do is, before you sleep, use the Blue app. Blue app, go to bioenergetic defense, analyze, you will get the top 5, and then go to the timer and choose 9 hours and let it run throughout the night. Okay, so you can try this if you turn and toss at night to see whether or not this can actually help you. Okay or not? Now sometimes you have planetary movements as well. So the planetary movement will actually affect your sleep. You're sensitive, and then you'll find that it also disturbs your sleep. So this is what you do. Okay? Yeah, so Smita asked me to repeat. If you find yourself turning and tossing, not having deep sleep, you can try using the Blue app. Go to bioenergetic defense under resonance Healy database. Go to bioenergetic defense, analyze, select 9 hours, and then let it vibrate throughout the night. Okay, compare the quality of sleep when you turn this on for 9 hours and those times when you don't. Okay, all right, try that. Okay, now this will also work if you are affected by negative energy. You know, when you go to hotels, all right, there was a lady, she went to hotel, and then at 3 a.m. in the morning, she awoken and hair was standing. She felt that she is being disturbed by dark energy. All right, and this is what she did. She turned on the defense. Okay, and you know what she saw? She told me that she saw like she is in a plastic transparent bubble, you know, like a plastic ball, white, totally transparent, and she was inside that bubble, and she saw dark shadows coming towards her. She was inside the bubble. The dark shadows come towards her and they bounce off. They come towards her and they bounce off. Okay, yeah. So she said she literally saw that layer of protection when she used the defense. Okay, and the very next morning she checked out of the hotel and then moved to another hotel. Okay, yeah. All right, so defense. So useful. Okay. Other disturbances, frequent urination. If you find yourself waking up few times throughout the night, okay, I'll tell you later which one to use. If you don't sleep between 1 to 3 a.m., if you can't sleep, very likely is the liver acting up, because I mentioned just now that the liver is active during 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. doing all the detox. So during this period of time, sometimes you may feel uncomfortable and it wakes you up. All right, then there are people who go through perimenopause, menopause, and then you have all the hot flushes that prevents you from sleeping. And cough, you'll find that if you are coughing, your worst cough is usually during 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. So this is the time when the lung meridian is active, and if you are coughing, this is the period that you cough a lot. So it actually disturbs your sleep. Okay, now if you have this kind of disturbances, use the meridian. Kidney and bladder, these two is actually to counter frequent urination or night urination. All right, the lungs here is to counter the cough. Okay, liver is to strengthen your liver so that you do not wake up during that period of time. So this is to support the liver. Okay, the hormonal balance here, okay, is useful because for all kinds of hormones, whether it's the hormones that help you to in your urination, all right, and then there is hormone for sleep, melatonin. All this comes under hormonal balance, so you can use this. So if you have menopause issue, okay, the hormonal balance will also help you. All right, yeah. Then heart as well, okay. Now if your meridians are, when you do your 5x5, okay, if the meridians happens to be one of your top 5, and if you see liver, kidney, lungs, heart, okay, if all 4 comes out, I can imagine the person really cannot sleep. If 3 comes out, your sleep is terrible. Okay, yeah, so I can tell from there. Even though sleep programs may not come out, sometimes I do see quite commonly the 3 meridians will come out for people with sleep issues. Okay, now what about MAGHEALY? So you can also do the resonance MAGHEALY database and see what are the programs that appear. Okay, so this is the one, MAGHEALY, resonance MAGHEALY, and then you analyze classic, analyze McMakin, and see what are the programs that is highlighted for you. Okay, now any of these programs that appear is also related to sleep. All right, so sleep, of course, emotions. If you're not able to sleep due to depression, anxiety, you can use emotions. Vagus nerves help you to relax. Nerve here is for trauma. All right, so it's related to emotions because that's where people who are anxious, all right, depressed, they should use nerve, vagus, as well as the emotions. Thalamus is the gateway that guards your emotions. All right, whether it's anger, frustrations, guilt, depressive feelings, everything can use thalamus. And why brain? Brain is the part of the brain that produces cortisol, your serotonin, dopamine. Serotonin, dopamine, these are the 2 hormones that controls your mood. So if you don't sleep at night and then the brain is not properly functioning and not producing the delta, theta waves, so all these things will affect your mood the next day. So you can use that. Now if you have MAGHEALY Obsidian, so in MAGHEALY Obsidian there is a McMakin Plus, and McMakin Plus you have night for male and night for female. Okay, so you can use this in the evening after sunset. So it's quite a long duration for this, so you can use it in the evening and then it will help you to prepare for sleep at night. Okay, in classic, so if you have MAGHEALY, you can use classic, cell harmony. There are people who tell me that when they use cell harmony they have good sleep, so you can try this as well. Head will include your pineal gland. Okay, it will include also the parts of your brain, yeah, and then of course sleep. Okay, now each of this sleep program, there are so many programs with the word sleep on it, right? Inside they have different combination of frequencies. All right, so if one does not work for you, okay, try another one. Okay, so keep trying until you find one that works for you, because the one that works for you have the frequencies that you are lacking. So therefore it fills the gap, and then immediately you find that your sleep quality change. Yeah, so you can do that. Okay, now others that is not directly sleep will be this one, earth. Earth is actually Schumann frequencies. So the Schumann frequency is the one that is needed to synchronize your heart, brain, and your nervous system to the environment. Okay, so it's to synchronize your cycle. Spherics for those who have pain. Sometimes you can't sleep because of pain. So spherics is a pain relief. And then pressure here, what is the pressure for? Pressure is external pressure, okay, work pressure and all that. So you can actually use pressure if your sleep is affected by concern for work. Okay, now atmosphere program, you can turn this on throughout the night. So if you do not want to use let's say the sleep program, okay, I mentioned that you can use the blue app, right? If you don't have MAGHEALY, you can use the blue app, use defense, or you can use the sleep program by vibrating all the 4 programs for sleep the whole night. Okay, or if you don't have the Healy blue app, then you can use MAGHEALY atmosphere, where you can turn on for the whole night. All right, so you can turn on stress, relaxation is for anxiety, stress if you're worried about the next day. Then electrosensitivity if you are sensitive to EMF at night, and then sleep. Okay, yeah, you shouldn't use energy. I forgot to remove that star. Now, why do I put prosperity over here? Now, there is one lady, she said that I tried all the programs with the word sleep in Healy and MAGHEALY. He said, I still cannot sleep. So, one of the night, she was laying awake and she flipped through the programs for MAGHEALY. She just go left, right, and all that. She said that there was one program that pops up, and that was prosperity. You know, she just stared at prosperity. So sometimes it's intuition. No? Your intuition will draw your eyes towards something. So she saw prosperity, and then she said, she just tapped on it, and then she just vibrate prosperity. She said within 5 minutes she fell asleep. Okay, now why prosperity? Within prosperity, they have theta and they have delta waves, okay, which is actually to stimulate the brain, the parts of the brain that actually gives you creativity, which is to help you to think about solutions in your work for prosperity, for work. Okay, so it helps as well. Okay or not? So it just happened that that set of combination is the right match, most compatible for her. Okay, and sometimes it could also be money issues. All right, she is probably sleepless because of, let's say, financial challenges. So therefore she used this, and then it it works for her. All right, so yeah, so try. Don't just go for programs that has the word sleep. There are a lot of other programs that are compatible, and that may be the ones that you need. Okay, now you can also drink water in the evening to prepare your body towards sleep. So if you are stressed, you can do before, after stress, and then you can do sleep as well. So you can drink. All right, so this is also suitable for younger children. Yeah, so because they may not use the Healy directly on them, so you can just give them water to prepare them for a good night's sleep. Okay, yeah. Okay, now issues, sleep-related issues. Snoring is one of the issues. So snoring is because of the narrowing of the airways when you are lying down. Okay, so it partially blocks. So as the air passes through, it actually produces sound. Okay, so it's because of relaxation. So as we age, some of the muscles loses the contractile ability and therefore become relaxed. Then the nasal passage, so there are septum that blocks, polyps, tonsils enlarge, okay, and then the palate, okay, the part of the bone that is causing the blockage, or the narrowing of the airways. So you can use all this: muscle, skin, throat chakra, because it's around this area. You can use tonsils, you can use sinus, okay, if the passage is blocked, okay, by fluids, etc. Now, why large intestine? This is for meridian, large intestine. So you will ask, what has this got to do with large intestine? Because the large intestine meridians actually passes through this part here that is above your upper lips. All right, so the large intestine meridian passes through here, and then it will affect your sinus. Okay, all right. So skin here is for your polyps. Skin is for the epithelial of the entire respiratory pathway. So let's say if you have a sinus, okay, that means the epithelium is producing too much mucus and blocking your passageway. All right, so you can use Skin Harmony to help as well. Okay, so you can use all of these programs, not all at the same time, you just spread it out over the week. Okay, sleep apnea. Okay, it's different from snoring. Okay, because snoring is the narrowing of the pathway, the airways. But when it comes to sleep apnea, the airways can actually be completely blocked, and sometimes it can cause the person to actually stop breathing for a while, and then they woke up abruptly, okay, shocked because of the sudden depletion of oxygen. Okay or not? Yeah, so there are two types of sleep apnea. Obstructive. The obstructive one is quite similar to snoring, okay, just that this one here is completely compressing and closing the airways, whereas the snoring one is only a partial closure. So therefore the programs that you use here is almost the same as snoring. Okay, now if it's another type, which is the central sleep apnea, this is different because this has to do with the brain, a part of the brain that controls respiration. Okay, so it actually stopped working for a while. It stopped sending signals to the breathing muscles, so the person can momentarily stop breathing. Okay, so this can also happen after stroke or high altitude, heart failure. During heart failure, certain medications can disrupt your brain function, or brain nerve related kind of diseases. All right, so it can affect the function of that particular part of the brain. So for this, you will use more of the head brain program. All right, head, crown chakra, third eye, brain nerves. Okay, because this one is related to brain function. Okay, all right, now lastly, to close, sleep is important because if you don't sleep properly, it is going to affect many parts of the body. All right, so you can see here that if you don't sleep properly, your brain will be affected. So when your brain is affected, it's going to affect your memory. Okay, it's going to affect your concentration, your ability to study, learn. Okay, and then Alzheimer's, all this, yeah. Then it's going to affect your liver, because your liver do the detox. So when the liver do the detox, then in the daytime is able to function properly. So when the liver cannot work properly, then you will have diabetes, you will have hypertension, okay, and then yeah, all the obesity, okay, because these are actually related to liver. All right, then of course it will affect your immune system. It's also going to affect your bone, joints as well, muscles, and your heart. Okay, if you don't sleep at night and you stay active, your heart suffers. Because why? The heart works and pumps 24 hours a day. So it's when you sleep that the heart actually have the opportunity to slow down. So if you can't sleep at night, then your heart will have to keep on working. Okay or not? Yeah, so that's why you get heart attack, stroke, all this. And mood, it will affect your mood, which is related to depression, anxiety, all this. Okay, including even fertility issues, cancers. All these are related to poor quality sleep or a lack of sleep. So sometimes you may think that you are sick. Okay, you may think that there's something wrong with the organs, but the underlying pillar that support all the functions of all the other organs is actually sleep. Okay, yeah, so it's really a serious matter to be able to sleep. Okay, so how can we sleep like a baby? Like this, hug. Sleep with your Healy and MAGHEALY every night. Okay, yeah, it's not a joke. I'm serious. Okay, that's what I do. Okay, I hug my MAGHEALY, put my MAGHEALY on my belly, and then my 2 hands will be pressing on my MAGHEALY, and that's how I sleep. No more bolster. MAGHEALY is my bolster. Okay, yeah. So if you are sleeping, how do you use the MAGHEALY? Of course, we don't use the one with microcurrent because you have all the wires, so you don't want to turn and toss with all the wires, right? So you can use programs that is related to sleep with the coil. Okay, with the coil, so you can just wear it on your pajamas, or you can use the MAGHEALY either directly on your body, or you can use the MAGHEALY atmosphere for sleep and then just leave it next to you within 2 meters. Okay, within 2 meters. Yeah, so that will help you, your spouse, okay, or you have a few children living sharing the same rooms, and all of them can benefit as well. Okay, so that is MAGHEALY atmosphere. Or you can use this. Okay, use the high wave, because this one doesn't have wire, so you can actually use the program here, or like I mentioned just now, use the blue app, because the blue app allows you to vibrate throughout the night for 9 hours. Okay, whereas if you use high wave or the coil, you can only run 1 program. Okay, because you don't wake up to change the program. All right, we do not want you to do that. Okay, so those who have a good experience with Healy and MAGHEALY, get ready to share later on. And so we want to reach and make life better for as many people as possible. So we want to really build a active Healy community, and this training room here is one way that we reach out to Healy users. Okay, so reach out to your team members, those who are not regulars, who are not aware, so bring them here. All right, so for those who have not yet heard about Healy and MAGHEALY, so let us reach out to them, okay, and share with them. Healy and MAGHEALY, they are not medical devices, all right, but they are wellness devices that gives us the frequency to harmonize our energetic field. So should you have any medical concerns, please do seek professional advice, professional diagnosis and treatment as well. Okay, while you use Healy to support the conventional treatment that you are getting. All right. Now, this platform here is provided by Healy World for advanced training to educate and to equip, empower our Healy community so that we learn how to maximize this amazing device. All right. Yeah. So this call is recorded. So if you do share any of your questions, your experience later on, please be reminded that they are recorded and they will be published on our social media platforms. For those who are new and attending for the first time, seeing me for the first time, hi, I'm Christi Wong from Singapore. So I've been a bioenergetic profiling life coach for several years now. So my background is actually in biology. So today you will learn some biology regarding sleep, meridians, and then other wellness training. So I've used Healy for more than 3 years now. All right, I have a team, and I find that for some of them, they find it challenging to know how to navigate throughout all the many Healy programs and modules. So I have collated a set of my own notes. These are actually my own notes for those who likes to deep dive, into the Healy world. Yeah. Okay.